Accra here in Takoradi, the projects are still ongoing. So when you talk about John Mahama, you can't remember John Mahama for anything. I pity you because talk about even the health sector. The number of polyclinics that were built. In fact, it was during his era that many polyclinics in this country, in Upper West, for instance, we didn't have even a single polyclinic. Today we have 5 polyclinics running. They are all open. Not to talk about these chip compounds. Over 200 chip compounds were built. Just Upper West alone. You know, was it not during John Mahama's time that we saw a second military hospital coming up in Kumasi, which is ongoing? Is it not within his era that we saw the Tamale Teaching Hospital being established, including even what is happening in Legon, an expansion of Kolebu and other places? Come on.
Kolebu,
if we have nothing,
if
we have nothing to remember about His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, it's because of your biased mind.
But are we going to Ridge Hospital?
Yes.
I want to Ridge Hospital.
Yes. Have you seen the establishment there?
The huge deceptions you
and you see, when you see,
commission.
But do you know something?
When you went there, I went there.
Oh, what?
January 7, I went to Ridge.
Oh, there are 2 phases.
They look at the structure.
Know.
The structure was there. Waja, nothing was happening in that new structure that was commissioned.
Don't take my time. Please don't take.
I had to go
please
to the
don't take my time.
What a deception.
Please.
How do you commission a structure when the structure is not operable?
Oh, how?
Go there.
Please, don't take my time.
But he took my time. You know what he did?
So, in even the health sector alone, Ghana, what we saw within the 4 years, I mean, was something that has not been seen before. Just health infrastructure.
Look at all the costs, all of them.
Water. It was during his era that even the water system at what is it? No, not at Acheni.
Water.
Yes, your own president's home.
Oh, Bole, have you heard of the problems Bole they have there?
I'm not privy to whatever you're talking about. I'm talking about what I know.
You know about Nana, you don't know about.
Today, when you go to Upper West, we have a robust urban water system, which is going to supply the regional capital and about 4 or 5 districts in the region. So water was a huge, issue that the president took upon himself. And I'm surprised you are saying that you can't remember the president with anything.
But that one is qualified because that one, George, Waja, Kwame, that's true, not so. I said a few things there. I started and he himself was admiring and then not.
Even the energy sector today. Today, the energy sector alone.
Yes.
Today people are talking about that the fact that in those era there's no do so.
Ameri. I remember Ameri.
Ameri, you see, one thing is that what you have, you see, the seed you sow is the food you are going to reap. What you are doing here today, same thing will be done to you. Because when a government has actually sincerely invested the income of this country in projects, in novel projects like that, you say that if I overbloated, every project is overbloated. Okay, we will see which project another will not overbloat. We are going to see. Look, I am surprised you are talking about the John Mahama destroying the North.
Oh, but that one.
In fact, this statement you have made is an apology of you as a lawyer, because when you say people call you to the law court today to come and substantiate the destruction of the North. Well, is SADA only the program that was given to North?
But that's what I'm interested in.
But let me tell you, SADA has its successes. I've never seen some of these critical critics talking about even the good side of SADA at the North. Who told you that it was just a flop?
It's terrible.
Are you from the North? You're not from the North. And you sit here, how many times have you even been to the North? Which part of the North have you gone to? You sit like right here and you think that it's all about Ghana.
See, that the story that kept on coming was the fact that money meant for SADA had to
dissipated.
I mean, you agree with me that
I'm coming, you see. Look, I can liken you to what happened in Kasim Kasanga's era during President Kufuor's time. The mango seedling that were imported during the rice season. And I think at that time it was 30 million, or I've forgotten the figure actually. All actually withered off because of the season. A SADA project has its own challenges. Many of the plantations, and UDS consultant, UDS was actually contracted to actually evaluate the SADA program, especially with the tree planting. And they came out to say that about 70% success was achieved. Look, for the first time, I have never seen butternut squash in my life. It was through this SADA program, when I was a deputy minister there, that they initiated it in Laura. And so the SADA program, as some many of you sit down here in Accra and just rant it as if you are. It didn't feel like that. Go and see. But you see, because when a campaign mood, MPP was bent on coming to power. And so anything that we did, they bastardized it. And they used that, oh, damn, mama. Please, that's what I'm saying. You are sowing this kind of seed. You will reap it tomorrow. Because we are going to go even further. Yes, you will go and defend it.
I thought you said whatever you say about John Ejiku.
And so I want to stay
when
here
we got
today.
oil, it was what?
Look, even,
oil was what? Dirty oil. When we were able to get oil,
I have not said that.
They said it was what?
Who
It was dirty oil. No, but he said that it was dirty oil. That's what they said.
Who said that? Who said
but
that?
that's what NDC said.
Who was that? NDC. Which of the NDCs?
No, one of their ministers, was it Benuado?
And he spoke on behalf of NDC.
Oh, so it wasn't for NDC. So I'm speaking on behalf of NDC.
So no, let me get that, because this man, he took all the time.
Let's do the auditing. Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is that, you see, we need to be very, very sincere and objective when we are critiquing or when we are talking. Nobody will say that he can never remember John Mahama for what he has done in his government. Indeed, today when you speak to many people, many objective economists, they will tell you that the man actually started a robust economic structure. Remember when he came, he said that we have been practicing this kind of import-dependent kind of economic structure, and there should be a reverse of that. And that's why when he started, even poultry farmers were given subsidies. They were given grants to boost poultry production, and even rice farmers, which actually paid off. The import package for rice per year dropped. In fact, if I knew some of this,
we spend more money importing. More money. Look at the
poultry product, importation of poultry product
collapsed.
Oh, dwindled. And so, who told you that poultry nearly collapsed? So that's what I'm saying. You're not objective.
You know Daku Farms.
No, Daku Farms are being in that state.
When we are talking about John Mahama's era, that's what we are talking about.
And I know that the poultry farmers were making a lot of noise, complaining about the sort of system that was being run.
Which system was that? And so, you see, all in all, we have so many things to remember the John Dramani Mahama about.
Let me hear Dr. Actually talk about something. Doctor, just can you give me the balance?
Yes, I've been listening to both sides. Very interesting. Now, it reminds me of this. If you look at our political evolution, you realize somewhere in mid-1969, all right, the reins of power were handed over to the late Dr. Buzier's administration. And in January 1972, the administration was overthrown. It means that it had then been in power for barely 2 years, all right, and thrown out of office. Even within these 2 years, the late Dr. Buzier's regime even had and still has something we could count on. Has been achieved within that short space of time.
The housing project was expanded.
What that basically tells us is that we cannot rule out the fact that within the 4.5-year reign of former President John Mahama, there are some achievements that we could point to. So it will be out of place to discredit the administration in its entirety, which has not been done, because Kofi started by making a positive submission before going in with the gavel.
That's what I thought that Caesar must say.
Yeah, so admittedly, there have been some pluses,
Yes, so you have to be careful.
Now, perhaps the outcome of the election spoke volume of how some Ghanaians were not, in general, happy about the administration, but that does not take away the fact that there were some economic achievements that we could count on, and it will not be out of place in this political dispensation or on a political platform to talk about your positives. You will not definitely go out in the public domain and be talking about the negatives. So if it says in some years to come, Ghanaians may look back and then be pointing positive finger, but not an accusing one, it is not out of place. I'm not surprised, but that is what we're looking for. It is an opportunity for the current administration to also do better, and then we move on. So it's a matter of progressive development, but not regressive development. That's what we're looking for.
Okay. Well, let me go take some adverts. When we come back, we'll just then begin to talk about the free senior high school program, and it's difficult, the challenges, and who is suffering what. So we'll come back and look at that program. Stay tuned and don't go away.
Can you tell which of these children was not born free? Can you tell which of these children was not born equal? Can you tell which of these children does not deserve to be treated with dignity? We can't either. Human right number one. We are all born free and equal. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
Joe. Steven. Eric, over here. I'll take him right there. All right, take care. Here, right here.
It greeted you at birth. It was there for your first step. Your first mistake. Your first kiss. It's with you when you win. When you lose. When you pick yourself up again. In every moment, you can feel it. Life. Human right number 3, the right to life. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
Okay, kids, here we are at the slavery exhibit. Now, as you can see, the slaves were kidnapped from their homes, chained together for weeks. They would cram them onto these ships in very appalling conditions.
Thousands of women and children are being smuggled across the border.
Sexual trafficking of children. As you can see right here, they were treated like animals. They worked all day long for no pay.
In sweatshops raided by police, children forced into slave labor.
Some of the slave masters were very cruel. They whipped them and they beat them, as you can see in some of these pictures.
Torture and assault, brutal, even fatal.
So, before moving on, are there any questions?
Does this still happen today?
When I was walking home from school, they asked me for my money. I said no.
And all my friends ran home because they were scared he might punch them too.
I was screaming, but he just wouldn't stop.
He always said he would hit me. I just didn't think he actually would.
I don't know what I did, but they just kept on kicking me.
They tied me up and dragged me outside. They stripped me of my dignity.
She said she was going to teach me a lesson.
He said I wasn't listening. I didn't think he'd get so mad.
Oliver James. Right. Welcome to my country, my friends. I am right.
In our case, Ghanaians sometimes do not want the truth.
See, when you say such things, it's as if you take Ghanaians that we are stupid. And this is the mistake the NDC did, and we throw them out. And you're doing the same thing.
Last time you said it, that without loyalty, no political party will come into his enemies into office.
I see. There's no art of seeing their minds construct.
If we're going to kill it, we should let people realize that certain things are not acceptable anymore.
How would you kill it?
But you have agreed at this point that assuming that there's no merit in whatever is brought, the president could kill it.
They didn't get a second term. They were sacked from office.
Thank you very much for being part of this program. I'm sure that it hasn't just been the newspaper review, but it has been the subject matter of, as it were, commentary. Well, the fundamental prophecies of the NPP manifesto that they would organize a free senior high school project has taken off, and I'm sure that Ghanaians are excited about it. Others are also saying that it's discriminatory because those students from second side private institutions are not being given the kind of, as it were, favor that they should. Their compatriots from the government side are taking it very cool, and those from the private institutions are saying that no, it should not be so. Well, with my panel here, we're going to look at whether or not that is right. But to start with, we're told that it's free, and the question to ask is that, is it free indeed? Let me start with Caesar. Is it free and free indeed?
Thank you very much. Well, I think basically helping our children, Ghanaian children, to get secondary education free is a huge, and a fundamental national objective, which is even envisioned by the 1992 Constitution.
Yes.
And I think that if we check over the years, since Nkrumah's era till today, almost every government has a commitment to ensure that education gradually becomes free to all our children of school age, right from even crèche to even university.
Successfully.
In the Nkrumah's regime, you do know that even people in the university, students in the university, were having free education. At that time, they used to even pay them allowances.
From sixth form?
From sixth form,
yes.
Going. But you can't talk about that today because the exigencies of the time actually dictated that kind of help to students. Now we have gone past such an era where the population was quite sizable, our natural resources was in abundance and so many other things. free education. You go to our constitution, I think Article 25,
Yeah.
it talks about, free education.
Yeah, access to education.
Access to education to be free from people at the basic level, and also gradually,
it's not mandatory.
As and when
the
resources becomes available,
Good.
those at the second cycle, level going, we also have education free. I think one of the major bone of contention run up to election was education. While the MPP were preaching that they will have free education, universal education for all senior high students who are qualified. We, the NDC, we're talking about progressively free education, which His Excellency at the time, John Dramani Mahama, actually started. Because if you could remember, we had an agreement, we had some grants from the World Bank, this school improvement project, which gave Ghana some funds to start with this, progressively free education system, where even girls were given, excuse me to say, sanitary pads, and some were even given some grants apart from all that they were benefiting. And we know at the time, His Excellency started with the day school, and almost all the day school in this country had some government interventions in the education, and that was the start. Because we were actually following the constitutional stipulation that it should be, progressively, as and when we have resources. The MPP, on the other hand, they vehemently advocated that if they were given power, led by His Excellency Nana Addo, he will make education free. And in fact, if you go to their constitution, they define basic education to include senior high school, to include vocational...
in their manifesto.
Yeah, in your manifesto. To include even vocational, physically challenged institutions, and all technical schools were supposed to be part of the package. And so, the people of this country became so much attracted to this, promise, huge one, that if we win power, we are going to give everybody from crèche to senior high free. And so parents became so, happy and so enthused about the program. Now, free education, as people have tried to always, say that the NDC was against it. No, NDC has never been against any free education concept. Indeed, we have even started it. Our contention was that going by even the constitutional stipulation, you need to do that as and when the country is well resourced or have money. And as and when even the educational, infrastructure, all the things that you need to bring about quality education, when you have been able to settle many of them, then you can now bring in such a thing. It's not about giving everybody free education and they just go and sit in the school and come out like that.
But
no.
that would have been an excuse not to do it.
We are in a technological world today where knowledge and technological based, thinking, very, very key. And so you'll be looking at not just the free aspect of it, but you'll also be looking at the quality of it. Remember, the first country in the the African sub-region, Sub-Saharan African sub-region, to introduce free education is Uganda. In 2007, Uganda, Yoweri Museveni actually introduced this free free secondary education. And today, when you actually go to the website and read, they will tell you the number of challenges they are facing. The educational standard has dropped, infrastructure increasingly is becoming short, because everybody wants to go to school. And there are a lot of issues that they are facing today. But even it was not just holistically free as we are doing. The government gives just about $52 to each student. And they are having the challenges today. And so in Ghana, when we were preaching that progressively free education, it was not with any, kind of malice or mischief. Because we're in government, we know.
You knew there was no resources.
We know what's happening, because the resources is not meant for only education. Health, infrastructure, water, and the like. And so when you look at what MPP has actually introduced, it's a vast deviation of what they actually promised the people of this country. That is the worry we have. But they have done well by taking the bull by the horn to actually pilot it as they are doing. Because His Excellency and Anado, even when he went to Infantiman Senior High School, the way he said it, and the students were all happy, it's not today what they are.
What did he say at that time? What do you remember he said? What do you recollect?
He talked about the package within. What is the first year, and also the day schools going to have hot meal and all those kinds of things, and every child is going to get, all first years. But today, it's not all first, even with the first years, it's not all first years who are actually benefiting from this.
My understanding is that those who are going to be day students would have at least 1 million.
1 million, yes, he said that.
Campus.
Yes.
And then those who...
So I'm coming to that. If we look at what has been implemented, many parents are so sad and worried about it, especially those who don't have children who are in the first year, or who have children who will be entering first year any time even from now. Because all of them will need to understand that every Ghanaian child who has qualified to go to senior high school will be given free education. They didn't say that only first years will be given the opportunity. Now, if you are starting with first years...
No, I think there was an amendment along the way.
Then where was the amendment?
There was an amendment. At the point they said yes, everybody was going to go. Then later, then they corrected themselves.
It was after they won elections.
So they saw the reality.
After they won election, that even when it dawned on them, then they started amending small, but they made everybody to understand that everybody. And so that's why we are saying that, yes, if this is what they are doing, that means we are following our footsteps by actually doing the progressive. Because can you say that only first years enjoy the free education is the universal type they were talking about? No. They have only piloted it with first years to see how it will be. And even as we speak today, one of the major issues that we have is that there is no single blueprint on this free higher education policy. That this is our policy framework. That's how come that now they are even sanctioning headmasters and co, saying they gave them guidelines. If a comprehensive policy was actually drafted and given out for people to read, by now you and I, as we sit here, I would have known exactly what is in the package of the free higher education. But even you, those in the fourth estate of the realm, you don't know exactly what is in.
But I'm saying that's why I asked you the question. When they said free, it meant free indeed.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying, that the free they are talking about is now segregated. It's not everybody in senior high school who is benefiting from the program. But that's not what they told Ghanaians. That is our worry, number one. Now, if you also look at the other aspect of it, you see, the NDC, if you look at when we assume office, let me even use His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's era. He said that, look, before we can roll out a comprehensive policy that will make sure that everybody is in school and gradually becomes free, we need a robust educational infrastructure. And that's how come he actually committed himself to build the 200 community-day senior high school. In the past, some people had to travel more than 30 kilometers to go and access a senior secondary school. And so that's why we started with that program. And 123, even with the support of the World Bank, the community senior high school infrastructure were being built, which my friend tried to, because of this chief, says that only 23 has been completed, which is not true. Now, granted that we hadn't started that program, today the free senior high school policy you are rolling out, we have even had more challenges. Look, there are many more students today who up to now have not yet been placed because many of the schools are full up. And so which means that there's no space. Now, apart from this, if we look at the policy of the one hot meal for all these senior high schools, you cross-check across the country. I don't think that they have started that. Yes, I've been told some caterers have been introduced in that respect, which is being managed by a single company. I think across the country. Caterers have been introduced, but they haven't started even preparing the food. Well, I know definitely they will start doing something. Because no provision has been made that if this day school will be having a one hot meal, there should be at least a kitchen. At least there should be the domestic staff that could take care of that. But now we don't know how it is going to be like. And that's why we are saying that the free senior high school has been done in a rush, even though it is good in this intent.
In this conception.
Because that's what I'm saying, that it is even the Constitution enjoins us that if the resources are available, senior high school students should go to school free. Look at what is happening. Because of this policy, there's a caveat that repetition of students in the first year is abominable. No first year is given the opportunity. Anybody who has been repeated, you cannot be part of the program. But you know, because of our IQ and the development stages of the individuals, some of our children develop faster, others have late development. And so when they even go to the school, you will see somebody who may trail, who may fail. They repeat him, and at the end of the day, he becomes the best. Just yesterday, a student called me from one of my, cousin's child. That, well, he has been sacked. And there are more than 60 or how many people have not counted the number who have been sacked because they cannot be repeated. And when you get below 39, you'll be in the second, the dismissal range. When you are above it, they will have to repeat you, which has been going on, sometimes immemorial. But this provision of the free high school, senior high school, does not cater for those who be repeated. And so you can't be in the school.
I see.
Cross-check and see.
All right.
And so it's a worrisome development that today, because of free senior high school, slow learners cannot be given the second chance to at least.
So there's more than meets the eye, isn't it? There's more than meets the eye. Kofi, let me hear you on this matter.
No, see, Nana has said, and I have also stated that we will take criticisms, and they are constructive. Even those that are destructive, we still look at them, because we are not angels, we are humans. And it's a policy that we think is good for this country. And learning from what Nkrumah and others, did. You see, there is Professor German. If you know him, he was once Director General of GES.
German.
Yeah, German. German, for example, most of the time, when I hear him, does not seem to believe that you needed to make all of that free. He's one of the proponents who has said that, look, because you made some of this go free, sometimes our parents are not that responsible. And then, of course, quality sometimes surface. When this project, started, just when MPP came in, I met him once, I took his number, but I just don't know where I put his number. And I wanted to hear from him. Even myself, as I sit down here, when they start the campaign for free, especially 2008 and all, I was asking myself how realistic it could be. But you see, sometimes you needed to look at reality very, very well. You got to be very, very practical, pragmatic. You see, Kwame, what is happening? If we have oil, that oil that we have, what are we using for? What is it that you can tell this nation that this is it? What we say is that it's not doable, but we are doing all kinds of things. So what I see is that it is possible, because you see, tuition, all this time, we don't really pay for tuition. And what goes into education? Apart from the tuition, we have the infrastructure and all of those ones, the teachers must be paid, not so. And then you have kitchen staff, he's talking about kitchen staff and all. Kwame, do you necessarily need an enclosed area to cook large food? When our mothers and whatever, you have funerals and parties, where do they cook? You see, a project has started. There are a lot of aspects, to that. If we are going to wait for everything to be in order in place before we will never start.
But some of the challenges, if we don't address them from the word go, they'll be repairable.
No, you see,
like the students he talked about, those who will not fit to the system will have to be left out.
It's a beginning process, and the truth is that even if you look at the headmasters he's talking about, sometimes you may say, "Oh, this is a bit high-handed," but you are starting a project. You have quite a number of people who feel that it should not be the case. There are hindrances. If headmasters are asking students to pay, say, 300, 400, when they have been told that they are not paying anything, you think, what do you think you are doing? You want to sabotage the system. you are disturbing the system, okay? So let's get a thing on. You have the GES there, you have your circuit, supervisors there, you have your regional directors. Get to them, talk to them. You have your school, the governors, board of governors, and all of that. You need to communicate.
But all these stakeholders were they brought on board? The stakeholders.
In some instances, you have a situation where, government has told you that because the stakeholders, they've made the council itself as part of that. GES as a group, CHAS was also part of the decision.
Everybody has been brought on board.
And they are saying that, sometimes, what is happening really, the problem with the teachers or the administrators of the school, you see, I'm not paid well. Let's say I'm not paid well. I must try to make some money. So what happens is we have to create all manner of items that the students need. Okay? So when you do that, then, these things go up. Now that the government has said that,
everything is free.
Motivation and all of them for teachers, we are going to take that up, okay? Then they say, okay, then let's bring in something else that never was the case. In some cases, this is what is happening, all right? But I feel that, look, let's start. He talks about blueprint, yes, 8 months in office. I believe that with all the campaign things that we said, you came to office, you saw the reality.
But Kofi, the point is that I'll be taking some calls as and when,
yes.
And the number is scrolling, the number is scrolling on your site. I'm sure that if you want to contribute to this program, to anything we discuss here, please, you are free to do that. You call and then I'll give you the opportunity to do that.
You saw the monumental corruption and all of that.
Yes.
You saw the leakages. If we didn't have money to give to our students, to have better education, but you have money for slave to overuse, we have bloated everything all over the place. Look, we're talking now with the paperless thing, and the paperless we were getting say 230 a week, for let's use that, and then you have now gotten 83 more in addition. Assuming that you are even going to get 10 million in addition every week. Over the year, you have 40 million in a month. Over the year, we are getting about 500 million additionally. Can't you use that one to support the education? You can use it, okay? So I think that we need to look at that. There, I said, a lot of things were being said by the NDC. Look, Fifi Kwete was reported to have said that, that thing, all lie be lie. President John Mahama himself said, if somebody wants to be a president, he comes to tell you to just vote for him and say free education. That thing can never happen 20 years later. They said the thing was not impossible. Later, when they saw that it was sinking in, then they said, okay, look, we're even doing it. This is what we are doing. Now, he's talking about the structures. It is not true. That if some structures have not been put up, a lot of the schools are full of. It is not true. In fact, as we sit down here, over 90% of the students have been placed. Those who are not placed, there are those who didn't get even we have increased the qualification standard. If it was about 30, it's now getting to about 40 or 42, and all of that. And so those who just couldn't make it, they needed to go and write. Kwame, the truth of the matter is that if there was no motivation to learn, everybody will go in, will not get any results. If he knows that he has to work hard, and therefore he goes to school, doesn't play, and so if he fails and he has to fall out of the system, it is motivation enough. Look, there have been arguments as to whether you should repeat students, sack them and all of those things, or let them go. So all of those things are there. Okay, so you have to look at it holistically. While some schools, government policy may even be the case that don't, repeat students or whatever. You have some schools, they will repeat. They have a way of doing those things, and a lot of things are happening. For example, now you have a situation where if I got 20 and then Caesar got in aggregate say 6 or 7, and because he comes from some good private whatever school, sometimes I may be giving the opportunity to go in. So I have a situation where Achimota will not just get all the best students that they could have. Then just some another. So all of these things have problems. What I'm inviting NDC to do, their ministers of state, all of them, Caesar, others, bring in some suggestions. The criticism that they are leveling, of course, if people are being repeated and they are repeated and therefore they will not have any access to it. There have been a counter thing that really said that, okay, you are 3 years, and within 3 years, whether you're going to stay in one class or something, that's your own problem. But if you go beyond that, you lose it and all. We will look at all of these and then decide to do what to do. There will be counseling, there will be all of that. So the challenges will be there. But I guess that we needed to be practical. We needed to be, determined. Yes, he's talking about the Ugandan experience. Fine. What are those challenges? How do you address those challenges? Is that about we introducing new funding system? Get Fund has been there. How have you been using Get Fund? Do you use it? Is there value for money? We need to look at all of those things. Maybe the suggestion I will make is that all those leakages, whether it's about Ameri or it's about a SNIT or it's about whatever that people are taking away money, we can take about 50% there, let's put it there and purposely for education. There are ways of doing that, and we'll do that.
All right. Yes, we're talking about education.
The system has taken off already.
Yeah, sure. And then the challenge is anyway.
The truth is that, especially in our part of the world, it is difficult to take off any initiative in a whirlwind fashion. You would likely encounter challenges. But if you say you're waiting to have a smooth sailing environment, you will never take off. And so the current system is something that some of us love. Now, it is not a novelty in that it is something that indirectly started under the previous administration. We talk about those in SS2, SS3, SHS2 and SHS3 as not being part of the package. However, there are quite a number of them, who were benefiting from the scholarship system under the previous administration. These beneficiaries are still being maintained in addition to the first year students. So indirectly, there are some students within the second and third years who are also part of the current system. Yes, some may decide to call it a progressive system. That is fine. Now, with regards to Caesar talking about the previous administration, if it had not put up some of these structures, it would have been difficult. That is true. The day SHS structures actually helped to accommodate the previous year's enrollment very well, and that is what you're riding on. And those that have also been contracted and paid for in terms of the contractors, putting up the structure, if they've been completed, then these are additions to classroom infrastructure. So you give credit where it is due. The previous administration's initiative has contributed considerably to the current situation. That is why it is difficult for any headmaster, to cry wolf when it comes to the placement. Look at the case of the Agri Memorial. You last year accommodated 955 students. You've been giving 450 students this year, and you're saying that the number is too large. What does that mean? So it is a matter of the principle of continuity. I have always spoken about the succession plan, which we shouldn't derail of it. That is, when a current administration starts something, which is worth pursuing, the next administration will have to carry it out to the logical end, and that is very important. In the case of the students not getting space, it is not true. Based on my earlier submission, it is a matter of system error. That has to do with the technological placement effort. That is what has prevented some students from getting placement. But the structures as they are, are more than even enough to accommodate all the students. And that is why the private proprietors are crying wolf, because they are not getting students. Yes, the cutoff point has been raised to about 30, aggregate 30. And previously we were taking somewhere around 15, 20.
No, but
we even take initial. Now 36.
Let me ask, Doc, I mean, you are in academia. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yes.
The goal of academic work is not just to make students run through a system. It's also to be able to, sharpen their brains and collect, as it were, the creme de la creme. I mean, you can't run away from it. In the US, you have Ivy League schools. In Nigeria, you have them. In South Africa, you have them. So why would you say that it must be a whole system, a bus system, where even if someone has 44, 42, should go to Achimota, go to Mfantsipim, because so that it wouldn't look like, the persons are being thrown out of the system. So the private schools who are actually doing the work, actually making sure the students are getting value for money. You don't let them in.
No.
What kind of system is that?
No, the clarification, if you look at the current situation, what is basically the creme de la creme. If we do that, then we are perpetuating the class society. That is the fact.
No, what do you mean class society?
The class society means certain people, because they are endowed or gifted in a particular area, will have to pursue that particular line. If you are not, then it becomes a challenge. You see, what I've been saying has been already repeated here by Caesar. That is, the typical Ghanaian is like an Albion engine. It takes time to warm up. and when it warms up, it is difficult to catch up with it on the highway. And so if you want to look at the fundamental development of the individual and use that as the basis for determining his intellectual capacity.
Talk about private sector, the engine of growth.
No, it is not about that. When it comes to education,
it's not.
When it comes to education, that's a different situation. Especially, we know in our setting, when it comes to the primary education up to JSS, we credit the private sector for doing a wonderful job. How when it comes to secondary education, since the period before you and I and during our era, we know the government setting tends to have the best, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of tutelage and whatever, and the cost. Now, there are instances where people have decided to fall off the academic journey because of lack of funds. The current objective is to make sure the lack of funds does not become the reason for not pursuing further studies.
I am not saying that. We're talking about the aggregates.
No, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that.
You're saying I'm coming from a private school with 7, 8.
No, I'm coming to that.
And someone gets 44, and I cannot get my school. So what is the point?
No, it does not necessarily. No, this is the explanation. No,
is that what?
There's more.
This is the explanation. It has been. It was resolved. It was resolved that the Ivy League schools will have about 30% reservation for people from the private areas. You know, our schools have been categorized. When you and I were in sixth form, we know no need to mention certain schools on there. When you have, say, a B in your subject from Accra and what have you, there are people with perhaps less information written on paper, but will have A based on where they attended their school. And so if you don't take care, we will continue to perpetuate, as I said, a class society. People who are privileged and who perhaps were gifted at the beginning will only be getting the chance to perpetuate. And there are others who take time to develop in terms of intellectual capacity and may catch up with those who preceded them. So if you don't create the enabling environment for at least a section of those who might come in with higher aggregate to also get the chance to enter where the tuition is presumed to be very effective, then we'll not be able to go anywhere. So not everyone with, say, aggregate 40 will be able to get the chance to enter a class A or category A school.
I should be summing
while
up
those with 60
but I'm
or those with 6.
Dr. Ashley, today you're not convincing me.
I may not convince you because you're looking at the aggregate system. And it is not everyone who does not get the school that he or she is looking for. However, the current system is to ensure that some amount of people with average, that is not complete mixture. It is about 70 to 30%. 70% of the people in that particular school are those at the level that you're looking for, and only 30% have been infused into it. Now, quickly about the sustainability of the system. We need to maintain it. Now, the Ugandan situation here. Fortunately, Uganda is an African country like Ghana, but in terms of natural resources, now, Uganda does not match up to Ghana. So we have slightly more resources than they have. So if they have challenges, theirs is oil. That is their resource.
So
we should be able to maintain. And as we've been able to identify the sources of funding it, as we move on, we'll be able to explore more sources.
Let me
and
take
then be
some
able
last
to
comment from your
maintain
colleagues.
it.
Thank you very much.
I think that
a quick one.
Practically, the concept has come to stay. And the sustainability should be something that we
collectively
should be thinking about, because if government do not actually think through well, especially the source of funds, the president mentioned that we'll be using the oil money. When you make that statement, it's not enough. Which part of, because we have legislation that regulates our oil money and all those kinds of things. Then apart from that, I also heard that some headmasters, unfortunately, have been demoted. They have been sacked and they have been reposted to go and teach. And I think that kind of move is very, very, very harsh. It's going to kill initiative.
Do you know?
Remember that even though they gave them the guidelines to follow, each headmaster has to take an initiative. For instance, some of the schools, many of the schools got more than their intake. Now, those that have come, which is more than the previous years, they need to make contingency to get them furniture to sit on. The program
the people said their parents were told that it was free.
Not only the parents.
Can you allow me to
yes, let's make it.
And so I'm saying that in each school, we know that yes, we have badness in the system. Some headmasters may decide to do their own thing for their parochial or maybe their mischievous interest. But some genuinely, under the circumstances, we want to maybe innovate or put an initiative to ameliorate some of the challenges. Furniture, for instance, is a key issue. if no provision has been made for furniture provision, the headmaster will have to, innovate.
But we are told that 20% of whatever was the funding was
yes,
released.
but the funding that has been
20%,
released,
yes.
it has expenditure guidelines.
You
And
can't
I
just
don't-
use it for this.
And I don't think that furniture is part. Over the years, government has been providing this furniture to all the schools. So now, if it doesn't come, and remember, the education institutions now will have to will send even a percentage to government chest of the
IGF.
the IGF. And so these are challenges that I think that perhaps some of the headmasters will have to innovate. And by so doing, if they fault a little, it should not demand this kind of harsh. If else, it will actually gag them.
But
and
you
they
also
won't
don't
come
want.
out
You also
with
don't want to open the slightest door.
And
Slightest
one of the worrisome issues too, I think government should address is about this private senior high school participation.
Yeah.
Even in Uganda, they have partnered with about 640 private schools, and yet they are having the challenges.
All right.
And so I think the government should, going forward, find ways and means bringing on board the private schools to absorb those who are above the cutoff point, the 30. Because the 30, because in the past it was 36, aggregate 6. Now they are taking aggregate 30. What of those between 30 and 6?
Okay. Kofi, a quick one.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, as I said, let's have some working committee. You go around, look at what's happening, we assess where there are problems, we address them, okay? And I think that the teething problems, they are there. We are human, we have to look at them, address them. The schools that we're talking about, the private schools here, they also have a role to play. But you see, it's not easy. We just started. So as issues happen, they crop up. You deal with the issues. Okay. The point about the number of students in the school and then the performance, you were very much interested in that. Look, there were students I wrote off. I could even write as a teacher, oh, this is exceedingly weak, terribly weak, and all of that. Mami, 5-6 years later, I saw some of those students in university. And then they will see me, then they will come and greet us. Why are you so you see, there are some changes. Those who say that they are doing well. Achimota, Preset, private college, I went to private college, sixth form, O level, I went to Nigerian College in Kumasi. Look, sometimes when you come in, they make sure that some of you are examiners. And so they have material. And so sometimes when they are teaching you, because of that experience and that material, you perform better than ordinarily. So there are some who may be a second degree or master's holder. But you see, you are not marking. You may not have certain things that the student needs to know to pass examination. You understand? It's not about sometimes the volume or whatever, but the quality of
narrow you.
Yes, you see. So all of those challenges are there, and we need to ensure that those students down there, right? Some of them are very, very good, but not well exposed.
Right.
Sometimes teachers are not even there. So you need to bring them in. Why should I, as a nation, as should Ghana as a nation, have a system where the best schools that we have built, right, are only reserved to the so-called best students? You must, if you are good with your managerial skill and teaching whatever, you'll be able to prop up those who are not good. I think that the mix is very, very good. I know that this thing will succeed. Everything we needed to do, the blueprint, I think that is essential. Let's have that, and then also make sure that it's translated into various languages for all of us to know what it is.
Mr. Kofi Bonin, you're a lawyer, member, NPP communication team. Dr. Ebenezer Ashile, former dean, Regent University College, and economist. Honorable Caesar Kale, former presidential staffer. Thank you very much for coming, and you've made my Friday. Doc, sorry for not giving you more.
That's fine.
I'll see you at the same time next week. Bye-bye for now.
This education, we need to have time. About 3 hours.